A story's opening has a lot of pressure writing on it. It is the hook of the story. It's supposed to grab your readers and throw them into this world where they just cannot stop reading. It's supposed to introduce characters and concepts in the story world. It's it's a lot for us for one scene, and it can be daunting for new writers, especially to write an opening scene and to introduce readers to their work and their characters and their story, their ideas, things like that. So there are some things that I do to help me write opening scenes. I used to struggle with opening scenes as well. I wasn't sure how to kind of introduce the story without just giving a big old prologue at the beginning, which no one likes. So I have learned as I got more experience, wrote more books, more stories, things like that. So here are just some things I use to write openings. They're not things you have to do, but maybe they'll help. So the first thing I do is start in the middle of the story. So instead of like going to the beginning and going from there and just going all the way straight to the end, I like to start in the middle, just where the action is already heavy. That might seem a little weird to you guys, might not make a whole lot of sense, but I'm gonna explain it to you here. So let's take The Dark Knight for instance. I know it's the second movie in a trilogy, but I'm just gonna use it as an example here because it's at the top of my head. So at the beginning of that movie, we see Batman already in the middle of his journey as Batman. He's already fighting crime. He is working towards his goal of cleaning up Gotham City. So he's already in the middle of that story. Then the movie just kind of introduces another chapter along his journey. That's one example of it. It's not a great example because that movie is a sequel and part of a larger story. So I'm going to use my own book as an example. It's Liar's Legacy, my standalone sci-fi novel, my first novel that I wrote. Um, the main character, Ben Novak, he escaped his home planet after it was invaded by the Polymonians, the bad guys of that story. I did not show that escape. I did not show the Polymonians invading his planet. I did not show him finding out about Sevdus Minair and figuring out where to escape to. I just threw the reader in with Ben Novak arriving at his destination where he can find Sevdus Minair and hopefully recruit him to help stop the Polymonians. I didn't go through all that backstory because I didn't feel like I needed to. Felt like I could just explain it away as time went on, and it would be more intriguing if I just kind of started in the middle of the story. That way, things are already in motion, things are already interesting, and you don't have to go through all that boring backstory to learn more about the characters. So that was fun for me. It helped me write the opening, made it a lot easier, made the first chapter much easier to get through. Starting with starting as close as change to possible is also another really good idea. So stories always have that inciting incident, and that inciting incident propels the plot, and it puts the character into their unfamiliar situation that they gotta figure out. So starting as close to that unfamiliar situation, or the changed into that unfamiliar situation, that is really really helpful for an opening, because it's that change that really gets the readers hooked. So your opening doesn't have to be before the change either, which is really fun. You can put it like you can open on the change, which I'm not sure how you would do. That might be difficult, but I'm sure it's possible. I know you can do it. You can also open after the change, which can also be really interesting. You can show the aftermath and just kind of have the characters reacting to what just happened, which can kind of hook the readers as they try to figure out what happened only a few minutes ago or whatever, and just add a little bit more mystery and nuance to the first chapter, the first opening scene, which that can be interesting. I don't remember having seen that before, but I'm sure I'm sure that could be really interesting. I kind of want to try that now. But yes, starting as close to change is really helpful because, like I said, that changes that hook. It really grabs the audience and makes them want to read more because, like, how are they going to resolve this change? How are they going to fix their problems, you know? And so that's always interesting as a reader. So as a writer, we want to introduce that as quickly to the readers as possible. This isn't always the case. Like with Rocky, which is more of a slice of life movie, the inciting incident was quite a bit a ways from the opening scene, which helped it helped the movie slow down, kind of introduce who Rocky is, how he lives, and it is a slower movie, so it allowed it time to introduce us to the main character and get us used to the story world. And it was interesting. It was done very well. It's very hard to do that well. Most stories that move the change or inciting incident all the way down the story like that, that's hard. That doesn't usually get a lot of attention because people don't have they have a hard time focusing on things. We have really short attention spans. So you want to hook your readers as fast as possible and get them on the story. Again, if it best serve your story by putting the inciting incident farther back or farther in the past, do it. I'm not telling you this is what you need to do. This is just what helps and what I find helpful, and hopefully some of you guys will find it helpful as well. Starting with a throwaway prologue can also be really helpful. I did this with my new book coming out, Fossil 2. I'm still coming up with a title for that one. I wrote a prologue just to get myself back into the story world that I had been away from for about a year now. Well, yeah, a few months. But anyways, I wrote the prologue to kind of throw myself into the world of the story, see what's going on, learn about these new characters, have this new inciting incident come up, and just get myself back in that sci-fi mood. And it was very, very helpful. It really changed my mindset on the book from, oh, I don't really want to write this, to, okay, this is actually going to be pretty fun. So writing a throwaway prologue can be helpful. Most prologues aren't great in a story. It takes space from the beginning to the inciting incident. It adds that space in there. Prologues do. So prologues can be messy because of that, and prologues can be just sort of in the way. So I wouldn't recommend, for the most part, putting a prologue in your story unless you do it right. I'm not going to go over prologues here because that's a whole nother can of worms. But prologues, for the most part, I wouldn't recommend. So why would you write a prologue for your opening scene? For yourself. To get yourself in the mood and to get yourself sort of in the story. And that way, when you get to the first chapter, things are already going on and you're starting in the middle of the story and you're closer to that inciting incident. And it's a lot better, than just starting dry. Oh, well, at least it can be. I don't usually do this. This is actually the first time I've done it with this new novel that I'm writing. But it was very helpful. And I'm sure it can be very helpful for a lot of you guys. Because I know starting a new project or a new story, new novel, it can be daunting. And getting yourself back into that mindset or creating a new world for yourself, a new story world, putting yourself in the shoes of a character in that story world through a prologue can be very helpful in shifting your mindset and getting yourself on track for hooking the audience into your story. The most important part, though, of writing good openings and really hooking your readers is to just have a great time. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. There is a lot of pressure on the first scene, but there shouldn't be a lot of pressure on you. The best part about writing is that you can always go back and change it. So just write whatever you think you should write for the opening scene, and then go back and change it if you need to. This is very, very, very relieving because it's not everything is relying on you getting it right the first time. So just relax. Don't worry about getting your first scene perfect. Just have a good time. Write whatever you think would fit for the first scene, and write whatever you think is fun. So those are just some things that help me with opening a story, help me writing, starting new projects, things like that. I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think of the tips? Do you think they're helpful? Do you think they're harmful? Are there some ideas that you do to open a scene? How do you hook your readers? I'm curious to know what you guys think. So thank you guys for watching. I hope I helped you guys out. Just let me know if any of these tips worked for you, and I will get back to you next week. Y'all take care.